The invention of the telephone, a revolutionary leap in communication. The telephone is one of the most transformative inventions in human history, fundamentally altering the way we communicate. From its humble beginnings in the late 19th century to the ubiquitous smartphones of today, the telephone has evolved dramatically, connecting people across the globe. We'll explore the fascinating journey of how the telephone was invented, the key figures involved, and its impact on society. The prelude to invention, early communication devices. Before the invention of the telephone, communication over distances relied on various methods, such as smoke signals, carrier pigeons, and the telegraph. The telegraph, developed in the early 1830s and popularized by Samuel Morse, allowed for instantaneous long-distance communication using electrical signals. However, it had its limitations. Messages could only be sent in code and required skilled operators to translate the dots and dashes. The desire for voice communication. The limitations of the telegraph inspired inventors to create a device that could transmit the human voice. The concept of electrical voice transmission had been pondered for years. Early experiments in sound transmission through wires had taken place, but none had successfully converted sound waves into electrical signals that could be transmitted over distances and then converted back into sound. Key figures in the development of the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell. The most recognized name associated with the invention of the telephone is Alexander Graham Bell. Born in Scotland in 1847, Bell moved to Canada and later to the United States, where he became a professor and a prominent scientist. Bell was deeply interested in sound and speech due to his family's background in communication. His mother was deaf, and his father taught elocution, influencing Bell's fascination with hearing and vocalization. In the early 1870s, Bell began experimenting with ways to transmit sound over wires. His research focused on improving the telegraph, but he envisioned a device that could carry multiple messages simultaneously, paving the way for the telephone. Elisha Gray. Another key figure in the invention of the telephone was Elisha Gray, an American inventor who was also conducting experiments with voice transmission around the same time as Bell. Gray's work centered on a water-based voice transmitter, which he claimed could convert sound waves into electrical signals. Unbeknownst to each other, both Bell and Gray were racing to secure patents for their inventions. The patent race. On February 14, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell filed his patent application for the telephone just a few hours before Elisha Gray submitted his own application. Bell's patent described a method of transmitting vocal or other sounds telegraphically, using a diaphragm that vibrated in response to sound waves. This timing would lead to a protracted legal battle over the invention, with Bell eventually being awarded the patent. The first successful demonstration. On March 10, 1876, Bell made the first successful telephone call to his assistant, Thomas Watson, who was in another room. Bell famously uttered the words, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." This moment marked a significant milestone in communication history and laid the foundation for the telephone as we know it today. Early commercialization. Following the success of his invention, Bell focused on commercializing the telephone. In 1877, he founded the Bell Telephone Company, which began to install telephone lines and equipment. The first public telephone exchange opened in New Haven, Connecticut, in 1878, allowing customers to connect with one another by dialing a number. The evolution of the telephone. The first telephone networks. As telephone usage grew, so did the need for an organized network. Telephone exchanges were established in cities, enabling users to connect with others through a centralized system. Early exchanges operated manually, with operators physically connecting calls by plugging wires into a switchboard. This labor-intensive process was soon automated with the invention of the electromechanical switch. The rotary dial. In the early 20th century, the introduction of the rotary dial revolutionized the way people made calls. This device allowed users to dial numbers directly, reducing the reliance on operators. The rotary dial became the standard for telephone systems, making the process more efficient and user-friendly. The development of long-distance communication. As the telephone gained popularity, long-distance communication became a focus of innovation. In 1884, the first long-distance telephone line was established between Boston and New York City, dramatically expanding the reach of telephone communication. By the early 1900s, long-distance calls became a reality, enabling people to connect across vast distances. The rise of AT&T. American Telephone and Telegraph Company, AT&T, emerged as the dominant telecommunications provider in the United States. Founded in 1885, AT&T expanded its network and offered long-distance services. The company played a pivotal role in the development of telephone technology, investing heavily in research and infrastructure. The impact of the telephone on society. Changing communication dynamics. The invention of the telephone transformed how people interacted. Conversations could now occur in real time, breaking geographical barriers and fostering relationships over long distances. This innovation had profound implications for business, politics, and personal communication, leading to a more interconnected society. The role in business and industry. The telephone revolutionized business operations, enabling quicker decision-making and facilitating the exchange of information. Companies could communicate with clients, suppliers, and employees instantly, enhancing productivity and efficiency. The growth of telecommunication networks also led to the emergence of new industries, such as call centers and telemarketing. Social change and accessibility. The telephone also played a role in social change. It provided a means for marginalized groups to connect, organize, and advocate for their rights. Women, in particular, found greater independence as they could communicate outside traditional social structures. Technological advancements. The transition to the electronic telephone. In the 1920s, the invention of the electronic telephone marked another leap in technology. This new design utilized electronic amplifiers, improving sound quality and clarity. As technology advanced, so did the telephone's capabilities, leading to innovations such as the cordless phone and eventually mobile phones. The birth of mobile telephony. The late 20th century saw the birth of mobile telephony, fundamentally changing the landscape of communication. The first commercial mobile phone system was launched in 1983, allowing users to make calls without being tethered to a landline. Over the following decades, advancements in technology led to the development of more compact and efficient mobile devices. The smartphone revolution. The introduction of smartphones in the late 2000s represented another milestone in the evolution of the telephone. Devices like the iPhone combined communication capabilities with computing power, allowing users to browse the internet, send messages, and access applications, all in one device. This convergence of technologies transformed how people interact with each other and the world around them. The telephone in the digital age. VoIP and internet telephony. With the rise of the internet, new communication methods emerged. Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP, technology allows users to make phone calls over the internet, reducing costs and enhancing functionality. Services like Skype and Zoom have changed the way we think about communication, enabling video calls and group discussions that were once the stuff of science fiction. The future of communication. As we move further into the digital age, the future of communication continues to evolve. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and 5G networks promise to enhance connectivity and change how we interact. The telephone, once a standalone device, has become an integral part of a broader ecosystem of communication tools. Conclusion. The invention of the telephone is a remarkable story of innovation, competition, and societal change. From Alexander Graham Bell's first successful call to the smartphones of today, the telephone has profoundly influenced how we communicate, conduct business, and connect with one another. As technology continues to advance, the legacy of the telephone serves as a reminder of humanity's relentless pursuit of better communication and connection. As we embrace the future, it's important to recognize the milestones that led us here and the visionaries who paved the way. The telephone's journey is far from over, and its evolution will continue to shape our world for years to come. Whether it's through traditional voice calls or the latest digital platforms, the fundamental human desire to connect remains at the heart of this extraordinary invention.